Oh, hi there. Today I'm going to show you how in Maya to take a nice outfit like this and apply it to your character. Let's begin. This demonstration will involve some simple UV unwrapping in Autodesk Maya. And this is the character that I'm going to UV unwrap. I've noticed over the years that UV unwrapping scares away a lot of students. It really is not that difficult. However, it does involve a bit of a learning curve. I will be posting more videos soon that I hope will help students understand and master this important skill. To create my textures, I simply placed my clothes flat on the floor. As a side note, this did require taking them off first. I then took a picture of both the front and the back side of the shirt and jeans using the camera on my phone. Here is one of the photographs I took. It is of the shirt from the back. I combined the front and the back of the shirt to create one texture. I did the same for the jeans too. This can be done very simply in Photoshop or other image editing software. While not absolutely necessary, Maya does prefer that images be square and that they have pixel dimensions of 512 by 512, 1024 by 1024, or 2048 by 2048. I will cover this in more depth in a later video. As you can see here, my texture is 2048 by 2048. Okay, so let's get started. Let's focus on the shirt first. I'm going to select the shirt. In my viewport, go to Show, Isolate, Select, View Selected. That way we can take a look at just the shirt. The first thing I'm going to do is apply the texture to my material. So I will go to my Hypershade, select the material. I named it Long Sleeve Matte. Go to the Color channel, click on the checkerboard, select File, click on the folder, and find my texture. And here it is. Okay. If I press 6 on my keyboard, I'll be able to see the texture applied to my mesh. And as you can see, it doesn't lay on the mesh properly. So, to fix that, I'll select the mesh and I will go to the UV editor. And here is why it is not working properly. The UVs are a mess. UVs are just another type of component, like vertices, edges, faces. If I select these UVs and I move them, you can see that the texture swims around the mesh. What I need to do is create a new projection. With my mesh selected, I'm going to go to my UV toolkit, create, and I'm going to use one of these projections. I'm going to use camera-based, but I want to show you something first with that. Notice how my camera is oriented. If I do a camera-based projection, what you'll notice is that the UVs will look similar to the camera that I did the projection from. Therefore, it makes more sense to do this projection from a different viewport. In this case, I'm going to select the front viewport. And that is much better. Now my texture has a front and a back, so I'm going to need my UVs to conform to that and also have a front and a back. What I'm going to do is select these edges that will separate my mesh, the UVs, so that I will have a front and a back. Here it is without the texture, so you can see the edges that I've selected. I'll go back to my UV editor. With those edges selected, I will go to Cut and Sew, and I will cut those edges. Now, if I select all my UVs, and I go to Unfold, and click Unfold, I'll get a distinct front and back. As I mentioned before, UVs are simply a component of a mesh, of a polygon mesh, just like vertices, edges, and faces. In the UV editor, we move the UVs using the very same tools that we move vertices, edges, faces in our viewports. If I select the UV, I can move it. Or I can select a shell and move the whole shell, the whole UV shell. I'm going to use my rotate tool and rotate this around so that it is properly situated. I need to determine which is the front and the back. So you can see that this UV shell, if I look at it in the viewport, is actually the back side of my mesh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it on the texture on the back side, and I'll take the front side and I will place it on top of the front part of the texture. Now I will start placing the UVs over the textures. Using my scale tool, I'm going to scale the front a little bit down, and I'll do the same to the back, just to conform a little bit better with the images. So let's see what I can do. I'm going to go to select my UV mode here, and I'm going to go ahead and just rotate this arm and just very roughly situate it. And I will do the same with the left arm. Now, what I will do is I will start to place these UVs just the edges. I'm focusing on just the edges right now. Not the edges, but the outline of the shirt. And I will probably speed up the video at this point because you can see and understand exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, for now I think that's good for the front of the shirt. I'm going to do the same now to the back of the shirt. Okay, I think that's pretty good now. Let's take a look at how it's looking on the mesh. It's actually looking pretty good. However, we can still make a few improvements on it. Going back to the UV editor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Edges and double click. So I just selected the edge that goes around each of these UV shells. Although it looks like I'm missing a few edges, I'll just manually select them. Okay. Now what I will do is go in my UV editor to pinning, and I will pin them. What this will do, as you can see, it says it locks the selected components to prevent further modification. So I will pin those, and then I'm going to select all my UVs and go to Unfold, Unfold. And this will just neaten up the interior of my UVs. When I'm finished with that, I'll unpin all, and the shirt has been successfully UV unwrapped. The process for the jeans is going to be identical to the shirt. So I'm going to speed up the video at this point. You can watch me do the steps, but I will not be giving commentary. Okay, this is looking pretty good now. I'm going to go ahead and do that final step that I had done on the shirt. I'm going to select the edges going around the UV shells. I'm going to pin them, go to Unfold, select my UVs, and unfold. And now I will unpin all. Let's take a look at how the jeans are looking. Okay, they're looking pretty good, although you can see some distortion in some of these areas around the pocket here, around this back pocket. Let's take a look at what we can do to fix that. Open up my UV editor. This area here is the area of the back pockets, and they look a little bit off there, a little bit distorted. So what I can do is come in here and start adjusting the UVs to make it look a little better. In addition, in the UV editor, you will find this button right here, UV distortion. Identify areas of UV shell that are stretched, colored red, or compressed, color blue. If you select that, what you will see is it'll show you the areas where there's distortion. You will not be able to eliminate all the distortion. That is just the nature of UV unwrapping. However, you can minimize it. So, these areas that are blue, if I can get them to start to shift more towards white, that should be an improvement. And these areas also that are red, if I can get them to shift more towards white, they will also improve. Again, you will not be able to get it perfect, but you should get it to a pretty good level through some simple adjustments. So I spent about maybe 5 minutes tweaking the UVs. I'm happier with them now. You can see that the results are pretty good. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for more videos on Maya, UV unwrapping, modeling, texturing, and so on. Thank you for watching.